Some time ago, I tested these not PF receivers and discovered that they communicate with an omnidirectional signal rather than directed infrared. When I built the E5, I speculated that not PF could synchronously control two power cars in a full consist, but I never got around to testing it until now. Here we have two lightweight power cars and a fairly heavy train. The, quote, locomotives each have two powered axles and weigh about 200 grams. A marked hub shows when the wheels are turning, and the entire train will only move when propelled by both power cars. Of course, pointing a power functions remote at the lead unit will only control that one. On the other hand, the not PF controller will operate both power cars while pointed in an arbitrary direction. Sometimes it sounds like the motors get slightly out of sync, but it's off rarely enough and by little enough such that it's hard to tell. It may be that one unit just responds slightly slower than the other. I have bought several of these not PF receivers for commission builds and only recently seen an apparent revision. That being said, real PF can actually work in ideal conditions. With two receivers mounted high and a clear line of sight to both, one controller can drive the train from across a room. Whether or not this represents a realistic scenario really depends on what you want to do. Real PF fails hard in a theoretical worst-case scenario. Theoretical in the sense that one would not actually do this. If something blocks the receivers completely, good luck getting any signal to even one unit, not to mention both. Of course, not PF doesn't care if anything blocks the receivers. Anything plastic, at least. With the same setup as before, not PF still works more or less the same as before, even from across the room, pointed in an arbitrary direction. Ultimately, how well these setups actually work will most likely depend on external variables. I would still consider this room a very controlled environment, especially for PF, which tends to work worse outdoors. Not PF may fare better, but I have not used it as much in as many different environments. Of course, for best results, locomotives driven in this manner should have similar gearing with similar motors. On that note, this is the end of this video. Please consider subscribing if you like what we do, and have a nice day.